going to talk a little bit more about that fraction bar. That top number in my fraction bar, what is it called? I know I have it pulled up on my board, but what is that called? Naviana?
The numerator.
Numerator. What does the numerator tell me? What does the numerator tell me, Aiden? How many pieces are shaded in, or how many pieces I'm using? Right? So what is my bottom number called? What is my bottom number called? Santiago?
Denominator.
Denominator. And what does the denominator tell me? What, Ava, does the denominator tell me?
How many parts make up one?
How many pieces make up one whole? Go ahead and draw that model that I've got on the whiteboard for you. It looks just like the one that we did yesterday with our equal parts. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Can we write the words in the boxes?
Sure. Yep.
Can I go to the bathroom and put them on my phone?
No. Yep. Yep. All right, and then the last part that I briefly mentioned is that line, and that line is called our fraction bar. That's what we're going to start off talking about today. We talked a little bit about the numerator and the denominator, but today we're going to talk about that fraction bar. Notice, when I have my fraction, if I put boxes here, does that kind of look like something I have seen before? Close one eye. Does that kind of look like a symbol you've seen before? What if I make the boxes a little bit smaller?
The percent sign.
Oh
my God.
Does that kind of look like something you've seen before?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Division sign.
Fraction bars are division symbols. Fraction bars are division symbols. Fraction bars are division symbols. Irzan, I know that you're relatively new, but anytime someone says the same thing over and over again, it's usually very important, and very important things need to be written down. Fraction bars
Or division.
are division symbols. There's an M in there, but it won't write. There we go.
That's so cool.
So, I told you this morning, most fractions that we will deal with will be smaller than 1. Right? The fraction 1/2 is smaller than 1. The fraction 1/3 is smaller than 1. But every now and again, we might see a fraction that looks like this. That's a 3 and a 1.
3. That would be 3. So
What is 3 divided by 1? I know you know this.
it's the same thing as times.
I know you know this. What is 3 divided by 1, Ada Rosa?
3.
3. Let's think about this as a fraction. My denominator tells me how many pieces I need to have a whole. How many pieces do I need to make up a whole?
1.
1 whole. How many do I need? That's my numerator.
There are 3.
3 wholes. So I would say this, I would read this fraction as 3 wholes. 3 divided by 1.
It's the same as 3 times.
Pretty neat, huh?
Yeah.
Gabriella, what's up?
That little one.
Yeah. Ada, what's up? Hey.
This was say, will we ever do like 1 million?
You could.
What?
Sabrina? Hang on. Ooh! Say that out loud for the friends in the back. That was cool.
Isn't the division symbol because when you always when you get your answer it's smaller?
Sabrina said, hey, when I divide, my answer is usually smaller. So is a fraction using division because fractions are small?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I like it. Nice. Good math gymnastics. Arizona, what's up? Yep. Hey, good night. You facing this way, friend. Whole body. Colin, do you need something? Okay. So, fraction bars are division. Okay. Make sure you have what I have written down. All of it. Make sure you have all of that written down. Even the red stuff. Now, this will also work as division for other problems. So let's say I have the fraction 1/2. If I want to read that, write this down please, as a division equation, it's going to be 1 divided by 2. That sounds tricky, right? If I have one thing, how am I going to put it in 2 groups? Well, here are my 2 groups. And I have 1 cookie. But me and Aiden, we eyeball on that same cookie. But if I take all the cookie, is Aiden going to have one?
No.
Is that fair?
No.
No. If Aiden runs up and snatches that cookie and I don't get any, is that fair?
Bye-bye.
No. How can I solve that problem? I have one thing divided by 2 friends, and we want it to be fair, because both division and fractions are all about fairness. Emily, how am I going to solve that problem?
You're going to split your cookie in half.
So 1/2 comes over here, and 1/2 comes over here. Oh, weird.
Oh. How is it weird?
It's all the same number. 1 divided by 2 is equal to 1/2. Pretty neat, huh? Now, Jackson, thank you for raising your hand.
Wouldn't it be the remainder of 2?
It would not be. Your remainder is just the fraction piece. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah. So, Jackson, so a unit fraction is the name of one piece in a fraction.
Wow.
A unit fraction is the name of one piece in a fraction. So, for example, after you have that definition down, I'm going to redraw the same fraction bar I have. They have broken it up into 4 equal pieces, and they've shaded in 3. So you're writing that a unit fraction is the name of one piece in a fraction, and then you're drawing that same bar at the top of my smartboard. I just did it over here too, so you can see.
It's like almost a bar model.
It is like a bar model, yep. So each of these pieces have a name. Those are called unit fractions. So if I'm dealing with one piece, what is my numerator going to be? Yeah? No, think about it. Numerator tells me how many pieces I'm using. I'm using 1. What's my numerator going to be? Emily? 1. If I'm using 1, my numerator is 1. This piece right here, 1. My denominator is how many pieces in the whole. How many pieces make up my whole bar? Here's a 4. So the name of that first box is 1/4.
Yeah.
What's the name of my second box? Only look at him. Don't look at anybody else. How many am I using?
1.
Ada Rosa? 1. My denominator is how many pieces in the whole. So what's my denominator, Kaylee?
4.
4. Hey, his name's 1/4 too.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the third guy. How many pieces am I using, Sabrina? 1. And my denominator is going to be what, Gabriella? 4. This guy will have the same name, but we're going to ignore him right now because I'm only going to deal with my shaded pieces.
So erase her.
Sure. Let's add them together. They are all in the same unit, 1 puppy plus 1 puppy plus 1 puppy, so I can add them together.
12.
If this said, if this said 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 100, are those the same?
No.
So could I add them?
No.
No, not as it is right now. I have to have the same unit. Hey, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? It has to be 1 puppy plus 1 puppy plus 1 puppy. 1 cupcake plus 1 cupcake plus 1 cupcake. 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 equals how many fourths? Ava? 3/4. Very good. Jackson, what's that? Where you going?
12.
It is repeated addition.
I knew it.
It is.
You should know.
It is.
Wait, so.
Chill. Ava, yes.
Oh my gosh. Would you like at the third block, would you, if you put another block on top of it, would it be a total?
Which makes sense, right? Because if I'm counting the number of shaded pieces, I have 1, 2, 3 shaded pieces, and my whole is 4 pieces. So it makes sense to count. Does that make sense? Colin?
So, can another equation be 1/4 divided by times 3 equals 3/4?
Technically, yes.
That's cool. That's cool.
You guys just love to go to 4th grade, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay? Well, if I have a unit fraction and I'm only talking about 1 piece, what is my numerator? If I'm only dealing with 1 piece, what's my numerator? Caleb? 1. My denominator is how many pieces in my whole. What is my denominator? Haley? 8. So 1 piece was called 1/8. So we took care of this guy. We named him. Plus, what's this guy going to be called? 1/8. Good, we got him too. What's my next guy going to be called?
1/8.
1/8. What about my next guy?
1/8. 1/8. 1/8.
I have one more.
1/8.
Equals. What does my unit fraction change? Equal. 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8. Maddie? 5/8. That makes sense because if I count all my shaded pieces, there are 5 of them
Or just count them.
out of a total of 8, which should be my denominator. That make sense? Draw the circle model. It's broken into fourths. Yes, ma'am, Sabrina.
No, one part is a yes. You put 0 in.
No. So Sabrina asked a good question. She said, what if I wanted to figure out the non-shaded part? Does it just count as 0? No, it still has the same name. So the non-shaded part is still 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. So the non-shaded part, Sabrina, is 1, 2, 3, 8. Does that make sense? You do it the same way, you just start your counting over. By the time I get to 0, you need your circle model drawn, broken into fourths. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Done.
0. All right, let's make our unit fraction chain. All of our shape is shaded in. What is 1 piece called? What's 1 piece going to be called, Arizona? 1/4. Less. Let's go to our next guy. What's our next guy called, Madeline? 1/4. What about our next one, Elliot? 1/4. What about our last one, Aiden Rosa?
1/4.
1/4. What is the sum of 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4? 4/4. Piper? 4/4. Hey, if I have 4 things and I need 4 things to make a whole, that is equal to
1 whole.
1 whole.
It's a whole. Everybody gets equal.
Which makes sense, right? That whole thing is shaded in.
Yeah. We're currently shaded.
Alright, draw our other one. This is thirds. My advice to you is try to make it like a peace sign. Okay? Draw your thirds. This is why I don't like circle models, because they're tricky.
I don't like them either.
Do it as best you can.
No! Okay.
Alright, let's start listing our unit fractions. I have 1 piece shaded and I want to name him. What is the name of our 1 shaded piece? Ryan, you think you know? 1/3. That's my only piece shaded. So what's the name of that fraction? 1/3. Last one. Last one. Draw our rectangle model. It is broken into 6. 6. I know that's hard. 6. You guys will be ready to get learn German after we finish this.
German.
I'm totally kidding.
Oh, I'm not German. I hate German. We're completing our crocodile heads. I hate German. German fought against
Oh
the
no,
Germans.
I might be earning a point and that would be so sad. You're shading in 3. Make sure you have 3 shaded in. Santiago, you ready to start naming my unit fractions? What is this guy right here? What's his name?
1/3.
Definitely 1. 6. The whole. Alright, what about this guy? What's his name, Emily?
1/6.
1/6. And my last friend, Arizona? 1/6. What is the total sum of my unit fraction chain, Caleb? 3, 6. Alright, we're going to stop here today. And we won't really need our math notebooks too much, so go ahead and put away your math notebooks, please.